Ms. Rodriguez.
Here.
Ms. Smith is absent, and Ms. Galate.
Here. And if you'll stand and join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To committee reports. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start by thanking Donna and Anthony Luciani for all of their years of success during the planning and the execution of the Hudson Guild Hike. The year 2025 this year was very successful. There was 1,220 hikers and 65 seniors that toured the main house. So there was just under 1,400 participants this year. Donna and Anthony Luciani have been doing the Hudson Guild Hike for as long as I can remember, and this is their last year. Next year, the Lake Hopatcong Foundation will be taking over the event. I do want to thank everyone who participated in the Memorial Day Parade and our ceremony. The weather was a little iffy, but it ended up being very nice. The ceremony was beautiful. Thank you again to Tim Carey for all of his help. Thank you to all who attended and helped make the date possible. I'd like to acknowledge our Recreation Superintendent Max for his first Memorial Day Parade and ceremony. I thought he did just a fine job. You all know that I've done the Memorial Day Parade since 1993 for almost 20 years before we turned it over to the town in 2016. So I have a lot of experience in that parade. And it's not an easy event to put together. There's a lot of moving pieces aside from the weather, but I think Max did a really great job. Thank you to Roxbury Kiwanis that was there to help us, and to our recreation department that was there to help us. The lottery for the Veterans Cruise is still open until May 30th. You can sign up at the municipal building or at the senior center. We'll be having a lottery who determines what veterans will go on the boat that day. We're also still taking submissions for the Citizen of the Year for 2024 until May 30th. I would like to congratulate the graduates of the Elite Preparatory Academy. Their graduation was on Friday, May 23rd, and I was honored to participate in the graduation ceremony. I'd also like to thank the NJEDA, the Economic Development Authority, for coming to help with our business community. They were here last night and we had a meeting for the businesses to help them prepare for the grant that is opening tomorrow for the Route 80 sinkhole funding. That grant is open for a very small window. It's open May 29th at 10 a.m. until June 4th. If you did apply for grants through the NJEDA during COVID, you already have an existing account. You just need to remember your email and your password. If you do not have login credentials, they suggest that you get your login credentials before you try to apply for the application. It is best to set that up ahead of time so you're not delayed in your application of the actual grant. Hopatcong businesses can also go to the NJEDA website for the Route 80 sinkhole funding, and they have screenshots of the application. So before you even apply, you can see the questions that they're going to ask you. I would like to thank Congressman Kane's office and the 24th Legislative District in helping me to make this grant funding possible. It certainly was a team effort, and it would not have been possible without their help. And on behalf of the Hopatcong business community, we thank them. I would like to remind everyone to shop locally, especially during these difficult times. The Flag Day Parade is coming up on June 14th. This will be at 3 p.m. It's a change in time from last year. The parade route is Durbin Avenue to the center of town, and the rest of the festivities will be in the center of town behind Firehouse number 3 is where the car show will be. The kids zone is going to be on the Little League field. Little League has generously allowed us to use their field. There'll be vendors and food trucks, Jersey Girl Brewery and Burnt Mill Cider. St. Jude is also going to be doing a 50-50 raffle there. And we do have confirmation for fireworks, which will be around 9 p.m. that evening. We'll also be doing a patriotic home decorating contest through the 4th of July. This is a family-friendly fun day for everyone. The kids zone is a free area. You'll be able to see the parade from Durbin Ave and the entire town center. We are creating a QR code which will show parking areas and a map of the area so you can navigate through. And we'll also have buses for the overflow parking areas, which are the Senior Center, Squire Field, and Veterans Field. It'll be very similar to the parking for the block party, where once the main area is filled for parking, we'll have these off-site parking areas along with buses doing a continuous loop. The garage sale weekend is this weekend. I hope that everybody has everything ready for that. It is May 31st through June 2nd. And if you miss this or it rains, the next garage sale weekend is October 3rd through the 5th. I do have a few updates about the Route 80 opening for westbound. Right now, Route 80 is projected to open 2 lanes westbound on Friday evening. However, they will be finishing paving between late Thursday night and early Friday morning. The only thing that might actually delay the westbound is the striping, because that is weather sensitive. So that has to be done during a dry time. That's the only thing that might delay it. But right now we're keeping our fingers crossed and hoping. And the only new thing that they've added is that will also be a 45-mile-an-hour work zone that you will travel through on I-80. So if that changes, we will certainly be able to update you about that. And that is all that I have. We can start with.
Did you mention the backhoe was included in the state aid for small businesses affected by the
The
sinkhole?
Route 80 sinkhole funding, the NJEDA.
Did you mention that?
Mhm.
Oh, you did? Sorry,
Yeah, the NJEDA.
got it.
It's okay. I was explaining the meeting last night because the businesses were here for the meeting and
Okay.
you know, whatnot. That's okay.
That was huge.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was, especially for the businesses. Okay, Councilman Falcone?
I missed our last rec committee, so I'll let Councilwoman President Jen give the update.
Okay, for Municipal Alliance, and this is gonna be because we're not having committee reports next meeting, right? Shelby? Okay.
It's just a suggestion.
I think it's a great idea. Municipal Alliance, the next Alliance meeting is Monday, June 6th at 6 p.m. here at Borough Hall. Volunteers are needed. Please email Valerie Fiorentino, valrose@optimum.net. For school, the HPACon Chiefs Booster Club, benefiting the classes of 2026 and 2028, is hosting a cornhole tournament on June 14th with a rain date of June 15th, starting at noon at Crescent Cove Beach Club. $40 a team with a grand prize of $100. There's going to be a 50-50 raffle, swimming, volleyball, and horseshoes. There will also be concessions available for purchase. Registration is available through the district's Facebook page. Wanted to congratulate Sean Addis, who was named the 2024-25 NJSIAA Scholar Athlete, and Jillian Miller, who had 100 strikeouts in softball. May 1st was Decision Day, and our seniors have accepted admissions to Rutgers, William Patterson, TCNJ, Rowan, Charleston, Seton Hall, just to name a few. We also have one senior who is off to the Navy following graduation, and we want to thank Joel for his future service. The next Board of Ed meeting is June 16th at 7 p.m. in the administrative building. The last day of school this year is June 18th. For the community center, the Center for Prevention is going to be there on June 12th from 3 to 7. The All Cancer Support Group meets, oops, that's the wrong date. Just kidding, I don't know the date of that. The Journey Bus is going to be June 11th and 25th from 10 to 2. The Dawnsill Mobile Unit will be there for June 11th and 25th from 11 to 1. The addiction recovery drop for June is the 12th and the 16th from 3 to 7. The next household hazardous waste disposal is Saturday, June 7th at SCUMA at 34 Route 94 in Lafayette. For recreation, there's a lot. Flag Day Parade, June 14th from 3 to 9 from the high school to the firehouse. Senior Olympics is June 17th from 9 to 2:30. Senior Picnic is June 22nd from 12 to 3. The Miss HPACon pageant is June 26th and 27th at the high school auditorium from 6 to 8. Veterans Cruise, June 28th from 9 to 11, with the lottery taking place at June 4th's council meeting. HPACon Days is July 12th from 12 to 3. The Recreation Department is sponsoring the Sussex County Miners game on August 16th at 7 p.m. It's kind of where they have a section and you buy your own ticket as part of the group, and you would provide your own transportation, but you sit with the group of HPACon people. Max, our superintendent of recreation, clued us into a lot of stuff that he's been really busy planning for the community, including concerts and movies in the park, county programs for our seniors, a summer basketball league, a walking club, art classes, line dancing, and a bingo night and bingo nights. I know I'm very excited about that. The next recreation meeting is June 9th at 7 p.m. right here at Council Chambers. Since our last council meeting, we took part in the Hudson Hike, which benefited all the nonprofits in town. The block party, which was absolutely beautiful. And the Memorial Day parade and ceremony. I wanted to thank all of the organizers of the parade and our distinguished attendees to this ceremony. Coming up are the primary elections, so please remember to go out and vote on June 10th. It's a big primary election for New Jersey. Our governor, assembly, county commissioners, and the Republican County Committee is up in your primaries on June 10th, so go vote. And that's it.
They're not gonna use council chambers. See that? Yeah, so, June 9th for your rec meeting, you will not be able to use council chambers
It's at Senior
because,
Center.
Oh, it's at the senior center, my bad.
okay,
Updates incorrect, it's actually June 10th at the senior center.
okay, so,
Why would it feature? Oh. Oh, my bad. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Sorry, June 10th, recreation meeting, June 10th at the senior center. I apologize. Writing this, I was.
Is that it?
Yes.
Thank you. And, Steve,
I don't have any report.
Rachel?
I will start off by congratulating the class of 2025, wishing them all a lot of success. Adulting is not fun and they will quickly find that out. They will wish they're back in high school very quickly. Economic development, we had our first call with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority on May 12th to cover a lot of programs that are available for small businesses and developers looking to step into HOPACon. The information we received, I know Shelby you just got back, but I think we'd like to maybe look at creating another tab on the borough website, just to keep everything up to date, as well as post the list of businesses that we've been compiling. So we kind of have an up-to-date directory. If we can request at any future meetings with the NJEDA, the Economic Development Committee be advised, just so a representative from that committee can be present, because we're only as informed as the information we're given. So that would be helpful. Jumping into the police, I'd like to thank the HOPACon PBA Local 149 for their generous contribution of covering the cost of the HOPACon High School baseball team uniforms. The high school is not able to fund the uniforms for the team this year, so the PBA provided a check, I believe it was for about $2,300. So thank you very much to them, and I'm sure the kids in the school very much appreciate it. Again, like to thank everybody who attended the Lake HOPACon block party. It's nice to see not just the residents walking around, but all the businesses that go and set up a table, all the boards, all the commissions. And we had amazing weather, so it was nice to see everybody there. I would also like to thank everybody who attended the Memorial Day parade. But I think I do want to focus a little bit more about recognizing the younger generations coming up. You know, I have 3 kids. I think it's really important that we don't just come out to, you know, participate in the parade and observe the parade. We have to constantly remind the kids what that day is actually about, because it's our jobs to make sure that the people who gave their lives are never forgotten. So, you know, we have the monuments around town, but the kids see it and they don't fully understand. So, you know, take a minute and just talk to them about it, explain. The monument we have at Veterans Memorial Park, that was installed in May of 2011. And that's to honor Sergeant Michael Perspell Jr., who passed away on October 27th, 2010, as well as John Curtin III, who was a specialist who passed away on August 26th, 1968. So I love seeing these town celebrations, but I think for the ones that really mean a lot more, we have to recognize and educate constantly so we never forget. And that was all I had.
Thank you. Anthony, do you have anything?
Couple things. Now that we've got the 2025 budget almost behind us, we'd like to get an early start on the 2026 budget. So scheduling and travel amongst the finance committee members we were a little challenged last week to get a meeting together, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll be able to get our first finance committee meeting together. On the communications committee, myself and Councilwoman Smith got together, laid out, you know, our own ideas in terms of what the goals and objectives are for the communications committee. Spoke with the administrator on that last week and gave her our view and collected her input. We're going to put that together in a document. We'll distribute it to the council for their review and comments as soon as we return. And that is it. Did I lose you along the way?
A little bit.
yeah.
What it did, you want me to repeat on the communications committee?
We were just at the part where you said that you were going to have a document ready for review and comments from the council.
Right, we'll get that together when Councilwoman Smith returns, I get back, and as well, we get together with the administrator. We'll put that together for review and comment. And that was, those were the couple of things I had.
Thank you. Moving along to the administrator's report.
Yeah, I just have one thing. Our election drop box outside, town hall, if you walk up to it, you will see there is a sign like this posted to it. The box has been damaged and the county is removing it. So it is out of service. It will not be replaced in time for the primary, but it is being replaced. So posted to the box is this sign that has alternate drop box locations around the county where you can drop your mail-in ballots to. Or you can also, throw them in the mail. There's other methods that are all laid out on the Sussex County Board of Elections website. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please direct them to the Sussex County Clerk. Again, that box is out of service and will be replaced. It just won't be replaced in time for the June primary.
I just have a question.
Yes.
I realize that it's just the election box, but did we happen to reach out to the library by any chance? Because that box is also out there.
It's just this box outside town hall that's being affected.
Just the election box, not the library return box, which is out. We moved it outside.
Yeah, no, it's just this ballot box.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I don't know how often they come to empty the library books if there was
yeah,
something
I've heard
done.
nothing about the library box. It's
Okay.
just this box.
Thank you. That was it. Moving along to public comment, can I have a motion to open to the public?
Make a motion to.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Uh, The meeting is open to the public for anything and everything that is on the agenda and off the agenda. Sure, you can come on up and just state your name.
Edward Taylor. I'm here in reference to a boat lift that I put in. I was told I had to go through the state park, which I did and got approval from them. But then realized I had to come to the town also. It's at a community club that the town owns the property, but the community club runs it. So Mr. Donegan said that he needs permission from the council to give me the permit. So it's got to go from the council, Mr. Donegan, then he can give me the permit, so.
So inevitably, you're asking us to give you permission, because the device is already installed, correct?
Yeah, I was told I had to go through the state park, which I did. And, they approved it and everything, but then I found out that I had to go through the town. I didn't realize I had to go through the town as well.
Okay, what is are you familiar with the process, Bob? Because I know that you've been in front of us before. I know you've been in front of us before about this.
Us or land use?
I believe it was this
No.
board. It was earlier on last year. and
Yeah, it
we-
was a while ago.
It was a while
And
ago.
Mr. Donegan said that, I should come here and
But I don't know if
remind everybody.
with not having any background on it, it's hard for the council to just vote to give you permission for something without, we have nothing
Right.
prepared in front of us to look
I
at.
understand.
Um,
Well, the way he explained it was just, he needed your permission to give him permission to give me the permit. That's how he stated it to me.
right, and
So I don't
I
know.
understand that, it's just that
Yeah.
without seeing, where it is, the
Mhm.
block, the lot, this is a very active group,
Right.
they're gonna wanna, probably look at the site, that type of thing,
Okay.
before, anything is said. What is the best way?
Yeah, I
to-
think, sir, if you could provide our administrator with an email, just outlining what you've done, what you have, what
Mhm.
you'd like the council to consider. I agree with the mayor, without having a conceptual
Okay.
idea of
Sure,
the
I-
scope of the request.
Right,
I could certainly reach out to Bill Donegan and fill in some of the
Right.
details.
okay, thank you.
But if you could provide
Oh, yeah, I
that
could do
to us,
that.
we could consider it, maybe get back to you and let you know when it will be become part of an agenda item.
Okay,
All
right, that's
Thank you
fine.
for coming in and apprising us of
All right.
the request. We'll follow up.
thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Not seeing anything, motion to bring it back,
Motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
The approval of the minutes, approval of the May 7th, 2025 regular minutes,
Motion.
Second.
and the roll call.
Mr. Bongiorno. Mr. Falcone.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you. And correspondence, you have the tax collector's report for the month of April.
Do we have a zoning report as well? Well, I know it's not on here, but
I only saw the tax collector's report so far.
okay.
Moving along, Ray, we were actually, Mr. Sarinelli, we were actually gonna have you do your presentation for the budget here,
Okay,
if that works for you.
yeah,
So we have,
There.
that's looking.
so we have Ray Sarinelli, our auditor from the Sabatier, that's gonna do the budget presentation for us.
That's pretty. Great.
Uh,
Of course there is. Yeah. It's all the snow covered mountains.
Is that there?
Sure.
Don't worry, I saved it in 2 places just in case.
I was doing the extension and
Watching
That's all right.
the driver might get long. After so quite tired. Steve, you wanna go back down there? It's probably the end of it. Another show. Rachel.
Why are you calling me out?
Sorry. Okay, I'll stand over here because it's a safe spot.
Then
Okay,
you run out the door.
so Ray Sarinelli, auditor, for the borough. So tonight we're gonna go through the 2025 budget. I know we spent a lot of time on it last month. So this is more of a high level overview of the budget. So we'll start off by jumping right into the revenues. So on the left-hand side there, you'll see the breakdown of the different types of revenue that make up the revenue side of the budget. You'll see what the 2025 budget as introduced is utilizing, and the 2024 finally adopted budget. So a little comparative. So obviously some big difference right off the bat. The amount of fund balance used has reduced dramatically, about $600,000. And we talked about it last time I was here. We need to try and stabilize where the fund balance is. It came down pretty dramatically in 2024. Fund balance is still in a very strong position. We want to keep it that way, so we can't continue to have the big losses that we had in 2024. So by utilizing less of the fund balance through the 2025 budget, we're trying to stabilize that in 2025. Local revenues are up slightly, mostly because of interest. So interest collections have been very strong. Cash position has been pretty good. So when the budget was put together, it was felt that it was sustainable to have an increase in the interest revenue, so a nice little bright spot there. Might be the only bright spot we talk about tonight, so let's focus on that. So, you know, good interest collections, hopefully gonna continue in 2025 as well. State aid, again, another reduction there. You know, through no fault of anybody's, this state has just decided that they were going to reduce your state aid in 2025 to the tune of roughly $100,000. So obviously, as a revenue decreases, it has to increase somewhere else, so puts you in a little bit of a tough spot there as you reduce your state aid. Grants, big reduction there. Grants are really tax neutral, so when we get to the appropriation side, you'll see that there's a corresponding decrease in the appropriation of grants. So you have a grant revenue and you have a grant expense, and they should match each other. So even though it looks like we're cutting almost $500,000 out of the budget, that's not necessarily true. We're also cutting $500,000 out on the expenditure side as well. So really not a tax impact there. Grants is the one place where, you know, I always tell everybody, once the budget's done, you can never change it, except for grants. You can change grants as grants come in through the year, do something called the Chapter 159, and you would increase the budget for those grants. Again, both sides would increase, your revenue would increase, and your appropriation would increase. So we have other miscellaneous revenue there, not a big fluctuation, but down $12,000. So just, you know, fluctuations in revenue. I think the biggest thing was the cable TV rental revenue was down slightly, so we had to reduce the revenue that we're utilizing in 2025. An increase in delinquent taxes. Delinquent taxes were up a little bit in 2024, so we can anticipate a little bit more in the 2025 budget. Again, not an earth-shattering number there, and $25,000 increase in that revenue, but you know, every little bit helps. And then obviously taxation, a $1.1 million increase in taxation. So that is the revenue side of your budget. Here is a breakdown of the revenue side. So obviously taxation is the biggest portion of our revenue. That is not unique to Hopatcong. I would say anywhere from most towns, anywhere from 70 to 80% of revenue comes from taxation. When I look at this picture, this is a very normal picture for what I see in other municipalities where taxation, the fund balance, the state aid, all those different things. This is, you know, primarily how it's broken down. You know, there's not a lot of additional services that a town can come up with to increase its revenue. So, you know, you go from place to place, most revenue pictures are very similar. Obviously, some bigger towns have some different items, but for the most part, this is a pretty standard picture. So there's two laws which create caps for the budget, and you must be compliant with both caps when introducing and adopting the budget. So this is the tax levy cap. So the maximum amount you're to be able to raise in 2025 is $14,546,596, and that's what we're raising in 2025 as well. So getting to, we went through the revenue side. Obviously, you got to have a balanced budget. This is the budget appropriation side. This is a pretty standard breakdown of how the budget is broken down. So you have salary and wages, other expenses. You have some statutory expenses, your federal grants, which, as you can see, pretty dramatic decline there in the grants. That's matching that offset revenue side. You have capital, debt service, and reserve for uncollected taxes. So salary and wages are up close to 400,000. They're at 7,005,100. So this is a little bit more than a normal increase, primarily because when the 2024 budget was put together, the salary and wages were not adequate when that budget was presented to the mayor and council. So not only do you have to include what you are contractually obligated to for 2025, but we have to also take into account that 2024 wasn't budgeted for properly either. So a little bit of a bigger increase there on salary and wages. That should stabilize as we move forward after the 2025 budget. Similarly, a pretty big increase in other expenses from 6.6 million to 6.9 million. The two major drivers there are, your health benefits. Really, again, you know, you have contractual obligations of salary and wage, you have a contractual obligation to, contribute to your health benefits. You're in the state health benefit plan. They had a 16.1% increase in 2025, so you have to budget for that increase, and it's, health benefits is not in a great place right now in general, as an industry. There was an article that just came out that says the 2026 state health benefit increase will be 26%, and that the state health benefit plan is not long-term sustainable.
Duh.
So what that means, I don't know. I would hope that we all have benefits as we move forward, but it's not, so other expenses are not gonna get any easier as we move into 2026, and we'll see where it goes from there. But certainly, you know, a big driver of the other expense increase is the state health benefit costs increasing. The statutory expenditures and deferred charges, so a couple of things there. Your pension expenses in there, and as we talk about, you know, health benefits increasing, usually pension is a pretty heavy burden as well this year. The pension increases were really not that bad. But what you're getting hit with there on a $100,000 increase is the deferred charge that was done for the over expenditure of the budget in 2024. So kind of a double whammy when you think about it. If the budget's not adequate, not only do you have to make up for what it wasn't adequate for in 2024, but you also have to pay back for the expenses that were charged in 2024 that were not adequate. So not only was there an additional $120,000 added to the S&W line, but you have to pay for the $120,000 of the deferred charge.
So you pay for it twice.
Yeah, basically.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, so that's included in the 2025 appropriations. Grants we talked about. Capital, you know, I think there was a long, hard, thoughtful process on where we want to go with capital and debt service in the long term. And it was decided to try and reduce the tax burden by not having as much pay as you go capital, which means at some point we will need to enter into a long-term debt instrument. Now, that's not something that's going to happen in the next 6 months or even the next year, or maybe even the next 5 years, but it's a strategic shift in the long-term plan of the capital debt service line. So as we move forward from 2025, we'll want to continue to look at ensuring that we're building up our debt service so that when the that eventual debt instrument comes online, it's a seamless process and we don't have to have a big tax increase to try and meet the demand of that debt instrument. So, you know, there's a lot of fluctuation from different towns. I think most towns try and match their long-term debt, their long-term capital expenses with a debt instrument is pretty typical of a municipality. So it's, even though this is a strategic shift for Hopatcong, I think in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty normal to see a long-term capital plan include a long-term debt instrument. So, you know, we'll continue to work on that as we move forward into 2026 and beyond on that. And then reserve for uncollected taxes. Basically the most confusing part of the budget in that you are the collecting agent for the school and county and have to pay 100% of their taxes, even though you may not collect 100% of tax collection. So you're required to basically budget for the fact that you're not going to collect everything and make sure that you're able to pay. So kind of a cash flow budget line item. 1.7 million seems to be a pretty strong number for you. It hasn't statutorily been required to go above that. So, you know, we kept that flat in order to make sure we're not putting too much burden on the tax rate. So that's the budget appropriation side. Here's the makeup of that, you know, pretty standard look there. You know, salary and wages are always a huge portion of the budget. I always like to say municipalities are in the service industry, you're providing a service to your residents, and you need people to do that. So, you know, salary and wage is usually the largest line item, with the other expenses not far behind that, and then debt service, as well. So, or, you know, debt and capital right behind that as well.
Thank you.
So, again, this is the second cap. Here's your appropriation cap. So your total budget is 19 million. There are, on the appropriation side of things, there are some expenses that are outside the appropriation cap. So the total budget is 19 million. The cap is 15.9 million. The max permitted is 15.9 million. So we are in agreement with the cap. So levy cap's good, appropriation cap's good. Means I can sign your budget. It's good to go. Here's the tax apportionment. So I get essentially what the total tax rate will look like in estimate form. Obviously, there's some assumptions that go into that. We don't necessarily know what the county and school tax will be when we get to that. Most likely, though, this is a good guess of what your tax apportionment will look like. I know last year I probably spent about 45 minutes talking about this page because you did a revaluation. This year you can see your assessed values are pretty stable in that you're at 2,498,000 last year. In 2029 you're at 2,497,000. So pretty stable assessed valuations there, which will hopefully provide some stability to the tax rate as you move forward. And so before I change gears into the utilities, which I think will be fairly brief because they're pretty simple. Do we have any questions on the operating side, you know, revenue or appropriations of the budget?
No.
So not a huge change in your water utilities. They're pretty stable right now in as far as the expense. So you'll see little total budget last year was 979,000 for the water utility. 983,000 for the current year. No rate change. You know, the appropriations are fairly stable. You see some minor fluctuations there between the salary and wages and the other expenses and the debt service and statutory expenses as well. You know, I've always said your fund balance is strong there, and the rates are just adequate for a balanced budget. So as we see what kind of capital expenses that come on, you know, we'll have to you know, continually keep an eye on how those rates are and make sure they're sustaining the utility to be self-liquidating, right? To make sure we're collecting enough revenue to meet our expenses. So we want to make sure that that's happening. So we have to keep an eye on it. The fund balance is in a strong enough position that we can be fairly reactive to that. So if we come in next year and we close out the financial statements and we see the fund balance is declining, you know, that's okay. We have time to be reactive to that without having something catastrophic happen. The sewer utility is in a very similar place. In fact, the budget is exactly the same as last year, with some fluctuations between capital and operating expenses. But you know, the budget in whole is the same. So same thing, the fund balance is strong. The rate is adequate, but something we definitely want to keep an eye on as we continue to move forward. That's it.
Very good. Thank you.
Looking and we have in the resolutions, a resolution certifying that we can adopt the thing. So I think we have to leave it where it is.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Ray?
We have to open for the budget adoptions. So we
Yes.
can come in.
Okay, so moving along to resolutions 2025-88, authorizing the submission of the FY 26 municipal aid grant application.
Motion.
Second.
And the roll call?
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Falcone.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you. 2025-89, authorizing the budget to be read by title. I have a motion
Motion. A second.
and the roll call.
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Falcone.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
2025-9.
I see.
Yeah, maybe just. Maybe, yeah, it's- let's do it out of order and then go back.
Okay. Mr. Falcone,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Bongiovanni.
He said yes. He's muted, but he said yes.
Thumbs up.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Very good, thank you. A long time. 2025-91, authorization for a refund of a tax overpayment and cancel future taxes for block 11010, lot 6.
Make a
Motion.
Second.
And the roll call?
Mr. Bongiovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Falcone.
I know. Are we missing a
The
signature? on
veteran
this?
exemption, it doesn't get signed until after. Oh, no.
No, it does.
Yeah, we're missing Patty Emery's signature on this.
Well, and our I do have a question, was,
No, so.
I already asked it.
and,
Teresa was here when the
I
the
see.
veteran exemption
Okay.
came in.
Retable it?
Precedent
No,
set.
we have the signature.
We do?
Yeah, just,
Ours doesn't have a
Ours does
signature.
not.
ours has it.
That's it?
Are you an authenticator now?
You have it, okay. Yes.
It's an auto pen.
Yeah, no, that's a hot topic now. It's a hot topic.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Kusavik.
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you. 2025-92, certifying compliance with the requirements of the 2024 audit.
Motion?
Did we have that in our packet? Are we supposed to have something that we sign? Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have it in my packet. Is it 1, 2, 3? That's it. That's all I got.
It's right after
Oh, my bad.
591.
Okay, yep, I see it. Okay. Look right past it. And this includes this is not the recommendations, this includes the recommendations that you made to correct the audit? Or this is just certifying that it was done?
Yeah,
So we reviewed it?
Yeah, it is the group affidavit.
This is just essentially that you've been provided the audit and you've reviewed it.
Got it, okay. Was there a motion made? I'll second, whatever. I don't know.
And the roll call?
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Falcone.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Kusavik.
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Very aggressive.
Yeah. Sorry. I want to make sure everybody can hear me.
Do you want me to move the old business or just keep going?
Up to you.
Okay. So introduction of ordinances, final hearing for 5-2025 auction of property.
A motion.
An ordinance of the Borough of Hopatcong, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, authorizing the sale of certain non-conforming property owned by the borough and not required for public purposes, more commonly known as 44 Wildwood Shores Drive.
A motion.
Second.
And motion to open to the public.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is now open to the public on this agenda item concerning the auction of 44 Wildwood Shores Drive.
Not seeing anything, motion to bring it back.
Motion's an auction.
Not, it's not an auction yet, it's just the second reading of the ordinance. The auction is actually June 4th.
June 4th.
That's June 7th.
I thought it was June 4th.
We can do it next week.
That's what's advertised. I mean, that's what's in
Instead of-
the, that's what's in the
conducted on
ordinance.
June 4th.
And we do it. No, on June 4th. I thought there had to be a certain period of time between the final reading and the auction. Is that
I
not
think it
right?
was introduced, when was it introduced at the last meeting?
May 7th, I think. Wasn't it introduced May 7th?
May
Is that
7th.
time?
May 7th and May 28th.
Is that enough time? Sure.
May 7th, there was intro.
Mhm.
What happened on the 27th?
Today's the 28th.
Today's, yeah,
So
today
doing
is
the
the
final
second.
reading, second reading.
Yeah, I think, I'll have to read the ordinance. I don't think there's prohibition in the ordinance itself, right? What I would do, I think it's still appropriate to vote on. If for some reason we have to change it, we could advertise it at the June 4th meeting.
Is there, no, it's 90 days they did, so.
I just didn't know if there was a time period
That's
between
about-
finalization and the.
Do I know what you're saying?
To open, we did.
So we need a motion and a second to accept,
I'll move it.
Well, the motion was already made to.
to open,
I think we need a motion to close. We didn't do that, right?
motion to close.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now a vote on the ordinance, roll call vote.
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Falcone,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Kusavik.
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay,
So the auction will be June 4th.
the auction is June 4th. Moving on to old business, adoption of the 2025 municipal budget. And we need to open to the public, correct? Ray?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to open to the public for?
So moved. Motion.
Second.
Just to be clear, with this is a motion to adopt, so we'll do a first and a second, and then after that, we'll do a motion open for public. So the proper motion right now is a motion to adopt the 2025 municipal budget. Is there such a motion?
I'll make it.
Second.
We have to have we have to have the hearing before the adoption.
True, we're not voting on it yet. We're gonna now open it up to the public.
Good, yeah.
So now it's on the table. We can properly open it to the public. Is there a motion to open it up to the public?
Yes.
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this constitutes the public hearing portion on the Borough of Hopatcon 2025 municipal budget.
I just ask a question.
Of course.
Once it's approved, is it gonna be available where we can see line items in the budget? Will it be available to the public?
Yeah, it has
Yeah.
to be posted to our website. It'll also be, if you want a hard copy, you can come to town hall and we can produce that for you.
Oh, okay, good.
Is there a way we could also have Ray's presentation put on the website?
Yeah, if you want to send it to
I'll send
me.
it to you.
Yep, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question about the budget? Not seeing anything, motion to bring it back,
So made.
all in favor?
Aye.
And then the roll call for the budget,
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Falcone.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Kusavik.
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
thank you. Moving on in old business, the attorney hires on here,
Thank you, Ray.
thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Don't want to plug anything right before you.
Don't touch anything.
That was just a coincidence. Have
Sure was.
a good night, everyone.
You too, thank you.
He doesn't need, you don't need to sign anything for you before you leave?
No.
Okay.
We're signing right now.
Right.
Sorry, one second. Right, so go that way. Yes, okay, the attorney hire. I feel like this should just be a permanent old business item until we get this satisfied. I know we briefly discussed it at the last meeting. I do have some further questions around it though, so. And Mr. McBriar, I'm gonna lean on you for this, but I know when looking at what happened last year, we essentially had the same issue where the vote to hire an attorney was tabled multiple times. And then we ended up having the meeting where the vote was held. Sorry, give me one second. February 21st, the mayor made a nomination for the borough, her nomination for a new attorney. That was voted down by last year's council, by the majority of last year's council. And then that same meeting, the council made a nomination from the floor for a new attorney. And that was under the advisement of Mr. Urson, based on the state statute under council powers, that if a mayor's nomination were to fail, then the council can make a motion from the floor. So I want some clarity as to what powers do we have as a governing body? Because we voted no on the mayor's nomination. So why have a vote? If we voted no, and to this day, nothing has been done, and our vote this year was April 2nd, what can we do as a council to say, we voted no on the mayor's nomination, we now want to hire a new attorney? But the state statute, to my understanding, is pretty clear, but I'm not an attorney, so I want clarification. Again, it was done last year, why can we not do it this year?
Well, first, you'll have to forgive me. I obviously wasn't at that meeting.
Of course.
I haven't had an opportunity to
Yeah.
review the minutes. This is a question of first impression to me this evening. So
Mhm.
I'm unaware of the circumstances back then. I know that the process has been explained where there needs to be a nexus of a mayoral appointment and confirmation by the council. That's the general proposition. We've explained, I think, Mr. Urson and myself at the last meeting that where you don't have those two items, that it creates a holdover situation. So neither the mayor nor the council unilaterally can hire their own attorney. It requires a nexus of both of those items. I would appreciate an opportunity to review the minutes that you brought up from that
Yeah,
meeting, because again, I hesitate to comment on something that I don't know the facts.
Right.
So I'll work with staff to obtain the minutes, but just so I'm clear, it's the February 21st.
I'll send a
2024
full email to Shelby, that way you don't.
No,
I'll send it, yeah, yeah.
if there are other meetings or
Of
other
course.
discussions, again, just assume that, and I don't know what occurred back then, so.
No, of course.
I appreciate providing that information, and that might help me guide this council a little better.
Yeah, no, that would be appreciated. I think, I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for my colleagues up here. But I have to say, Mayor, it is extremely frustrating. We ran on something, we promised the public something. People are looking to us to make this change. And they're looking, at this time, we're all looking at you to nominate a new attorney, because that's what we said we would do. 15 years of council experience under your belt, campaigning and governing at this point should be one and the same, because we don't just say things willy-nilly. We did a lot of homework and research when we ran and when we campaigned. We ran on accountability, transparency, and this, at this point, the council, I feel it's our duty to hold you accountable to nominate a new attorney, because at this point, all we can do is keep bringing it up and hope that we do what we essentially promised the public that we would do. So what can we tell the public who are asking us, why has a new attorney not yet been nominated? What can we provide the public?
So campaigning and governing are two completely different things. And I answered this on one or two different meetings. I've answered this. I nominated John Urson as the attorney, and the council voted no on John Urson. We do not have John Urson here.
Correct.
We have a different attorney that is here, that is a holdover attorney from the same firm, but is a different attorney. There was a very similar situation with the Board of Education also, where they were not comfortable with their attorney and they used another attorney out of the same firm. It's not something that isn't done, but the nomination comes from the mayor, and then it is agreed on by the council. There is no
No,
attorney.
it's voted. It's voted on. We don't just agree, we vote on it.
You vote on it, but it's
Correct.
agreed on by the council. The nomination is agreed on by the council. And that hasn't taken place because there isn't an attorney that's been put forward that I've come into contact with, that I would put forward to ask the council to consider.
So has any effort been made since the April 2nd meeting to attempt to find a new attorney?
Sure there is, but again, governing and campaigning are two completely different things. And I've expressed that my rationale for wanting to keep Mr. Urson and the firm is the continuity of having someone that has experience in the borough, having a new attorney, a new clerk, a new administrator, a new CFO, and then a new attorney. At this point in time, I expressed on multiple occasions and in private phone calls to council, to all of you, that was my desire to keep some kind of continuity here, because again, having a brand new attorney with all of the issues that we're facing does not seem to be the best interest of what we're dealing with here in Hopatcon.
And I think it was my verbiage to you, and no offense, Bob, I think you're great, but.
Yes, I apologize.
Yeah, I apologize, but I think that I verbalized it to you that I don't think that there's a better time. You have a new administrator, you have a new DPW superintendent coming in, you have a new clerk coming in, you have a new CFO. What better time to have somebody new than now, when you have fresh eyes on everything and everybody is starting, fresh. So I think that, the difference right now between governing and campaigning is that we actually have the power to do this, and we're not.
And just for the record, right, we did have an attorney come forward.
Correct.
We did.
That
We
applied
did.
for the
Correct.
position, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
And I think that that's the big difference, is that you might not have somebody to put forward, but it was somebody that we were all comfortable with.
So are you not comfortable with that, making that nomination?
No, that has nothing to do with where we are right now.
I feel like we're getting off on we are skating on a technicality. It's a loophole because the mayor has expressed she wants continuity. So in an effort to keep the firm that she is most comfortable with working with, she will not make a new nomination, because that is the loophole that she has, which is why it's extremely frustrating. This council spoke The majority voted no. So we want a new nomination. And that's the frustrating part for me. I feel like we're powerless, yet we are the voting body.
Mayor, do you plan on making a nomination? Have you?
Yeah, of course, there's a possibility that there's a nomination that could possibly be made. That's not that there's no conversation for that though. Right now, there's no nomination for me to make right now.
Do we have to go out to RFP again?
No, we
No.
haven't, no,
No, you would not have to go out to RFP again.
Okay.
because there's a viable candidate that we've already interviewed and have pretty much all agreed on that that's the attorney that we're comfortable with, but the mayor has to make the nomination for us.
But the bottom line is the process is the process. The mayor has to make the nomination, the council has to agree and then vote to that, and there is an impasse here at this point.
Understood, but I think for the public and for our knowledge, are you stating that to have continuity and not, because of all the new hires, you're not comfortable with making a nomination? Are you?
No,
is that what
no,
you're saying?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying again, to be able to nominate the attorney, I have to be able to be comfortable having the conversations with the attorney, and that's just hasn't taken place. For whatever the reason, that hasn't taken place.
So you haven't spoken to Jim?
I'm not gonna get into a lot of detail about what's happening and what's not happening with the possible nomination for a new attorney. Where we are right now, we have a competent attorney, we have someone who can actually do the meetings for us and get our information for us and do what we're doing. And again, every meeting discussing the new hire of the attorney is gonna end up in the same conversation over and over again, because this is just where we are right now. We're at a slight impasse where I don't have a nomination to give you.
So I will just say on the record, I feel like this council is being undermined and it is a complete slap in the face in terms of the direction that we wanted this to go. Because at this point,
I'm disagreeing
we're
with you. It's
sitting
not a
ducks.
slap in the face. It's
It is.
government. It's not PTO. We're not slapping each other in the face.
That's
You're
what-
disagreeing with what I'm doing, and that's fine. You're allowed to do that.
we voted no.
You voted no, and I heard you.
But you're not doing anything about it. So you were undermining our decision.
I'm not undermining your decision. It's just that that's just not how that exactly works.
Yeah, I think to kind of put a pin in this, because it's gonna go round and round, I think council would would like to continue to keep this under here under old business, but also with an ask to you. If you could think about the attorney that you would like to nominate or attorneys that you'd like to nominate, so we could put this to bed.
But there is no putting it to bed, Joe. The nomination is inevitably my nomination.
No, I
So
understand
there's
that.
no nomination that I have to give to you. You can keep putting it under new business. If there's no new update, there's no new update for you.
So
And we're halfway through the year
Yeah.
for most attorneys and for most things happening. So are people reaching out and wanting to return your phone calls? No, they're really not, because they're busy doing other things. So is it something that can happen, fairly quickly? I don't really know. It hasn't, but I have no idea. But again, we are, we have an attorney. It's not that we are attorneyless. We have an attorney. We have somebody who can follow everything that we're doing and has been competent in our meetings. And
I agree, there's nothing bad.
No.
I mean, I've only had 1.5 meetings with Bob and utterly impressed for whatever that's worth, Bob. But when I say put it to bed, I mean, if you could do your due diligence and make a nomination to whomever that may be, whether it's Bob or anything, if we could, there's nothing, I think, worse in government that makes people nuts is when there's all this low hanging fruit. That's something that's probably.
But it's really not low hanging
Fixable.
fruit. It's an absolute decision between the mayor and the governing body, and we have a disagreement.
Well,
It's not low hanging fruit
No, I
because
know.
nothing is being affected by the public. The public is still being represented. Everything is being done. Everything is being defended, and everything is legally being taken care of.
So let me
It's a
put it-
discussion between
Yeah, let me
the
put
mayor
it,
and the council.
let me put it into like more simpler terms, right? Like I don't think anybody really appreciates the term like interim, right? It just means not
Permanent.
permanent, right? It's like there's, and I don't know how that is perceived by the public when, and I disagree. I think this is low hanging fruit, because I think if you had whether it's Bob or somebody else to nominate, that we could at least get the ball rolling. And if it's a no again, at least it looks like we're trying to come to some sort of agreement instead of doing nothing. I think doing nothing is worse than at least trying to have a conversation and come to a happy meeting. I think, even though we didn't agree with your first nomination, that's not to say we wouldn't agree with your second or third or fourth or fifth, but at least you could say that you're trying, right? And we're trying to meet you in the middle with this. So I mean, I'd hate to, nothing irks me more than just doing the same thing over and over again and wasting time. So I think the ask for myself, and I don't want to speak for the rest of the governing body here, would be at least to think about over the next few weeks or months, whatever the case may be. Find a nominee, make a nomination, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, and let's just move on with this. That's a request that I have. Whether you
I have
take that or not, totally up to
I
you.
have a question, and everybody knows how I felt. You know, I was not in favor of replacing John because I didn't think it was the right time, especially considering all the disruption and the change in personnel. But I do agree with you, Joe. I think Bob has been doing a very good job. How does the council feel about Bob being nominated and continuing out for the rest of the year? Is that a problem? Maybe that's an easy answer, you know, and a good step in the middle, right?
Well, I think that's, yeah, I think Steve, sorry, Steve, Anthony, that's what we're looking for. I think we're looking for some direction from the mayor instead of just being idle, right? And if it's Bob, let's bring it to the table and let's discuss it. Yeah, that's my point. The just not doing anything is really not acceptable in my eyes for what it's worth, Mayor. I know you don't report to me.
Yeah,
but for what
Anthony,
it's
the
worth.
process is the mayor needs to make a nomination and then the council votes on it.
Right.
So until the mayor chooses to make another recommendation, then this body cannot vote on anything.
No,
That's-
I understand that. I understand the process. Thank you. But what I'm saying is let's make it a little bit easier for the mayor then. Would the council be okay if the mayor made a nomination for Bob?
What I will say, Anthony, I have no issue with it, and the mayor brought up the Board of Ed thing. I was part of that. We kept the same firm, switched attorneys, and everything was fantastic. So it's always a different avenue to go in. I think we need to do something at some point just to get the conversation rolling.
I agree, and I'm comfortable with that as well.
Okay. All right, so nothing's gonna happen with that then. That's where we stand. It's good.
I will just say that again, the attorney, it is the nomination, of myself. There is a difference of opinion here. I don't consider it low-hanging fruit, Joe. I just consider it a difference of opinion. The council disagrees with something that I'm doing, just like when I agree with something that the council does, it's a complete disagreement. You see it as something as, that I'm not moving forward with something, and that's not necessarily the case because you're not aware of what's happening behind the scenes. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
That's fair. I agree to disagree.
Jen, are you apprised of anything? I mean, you're the council's voice essentially. As the council president, you should have more insight, you know, and be that flow of information. So what is happening behind the scenes that council's not aware of, that we can't do anything with this?
Nothing. These are the same answers that I get when the mayor and I speak.
Perfect.
Okay, moving along, cannabis ordinance.
I just really, the point of this was to see where our communication committee was on getting that question together for the public.
I submitted a list of applications to the administrator last week, and when I return, we'll discuss that and see if any of those fit the bill. But there were 6 different ones that we took a look at that potentially could fit. There's one that I think actually is better than the other ones, but this is going to be a little bit of a process. This isn't something that's going to happen immediately. I just want to caution the council on that. So
We agreed it was one question that was gonna go out to the public. Is that accurate?
this was the survey. It's not up to me in terms of what question we put on it, and it's not a matter of whether it's one question or 50 questions. It's a matter of how do we utilize a tool that gives us an accurate representation of the want of the residents within a PATCOM. That's really what we're focused on. So, I mean,
so the six applicants are when you say applicants.
When you say, yeah.
Applications. So
Oh, got it. Okay.
There's a lot of
Got
survey
it.
tools out
Thanks.
there, you know, Survey Monkey being one of them, obviously very well known. But as I said, I mean, if we're going to do a survey, we want it to be representative of the town, right? So, you know, Facebook surveys are are interesting, but they're not necessarily going to be widely representative of all the residents in the town itself. So we're trying to put something together. It's not going to be just for this, but for anything that we'd like to get information from the residents. It's a tool that we should be able to use in the future for potentially many different things. So I'm not looking at it as, let's just get this done. Right? I'm trying to put together a tool that's going to be of value to the town here and in many other ways moving forward. So I just want to make that clear.
I just want to put it on the record that I think the government works slowly enough that we don't have to make it move slower. Especially when it's, something like this, that 72% of the town voted yes on this. So I just want to put that on the record.
Councilwoman, if you have another way that you could get the input from the town, I'm happy for you to go ahead and do it. I'm just trying to help with putting a solution together that will work for everybody. So I'm not slowing anything down.
Anthony, when you say it's going to be a methodical process, do you mean a methodical process of figuring out which one of the applications to use?
Yes, I'm saying, which application do we want to use and how do we want to implement it?
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, so I want it to be thoughtful. It doesn't have to be methodical. It doesn't have to take a really long time, but I think it needs to be thoughtful. Right?
Okay.
And
Thanks.
there's a lot of priorities going on in the town right now. Right? So this is just another one.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to new business, council president ordinance.
Yeah, I apologize. Actually, well, during the meeting, I wrote a couple other things down for old business I wanted to touch on. Did we ever figure out who the 2024 holiday decorating contest winner was? Because that was never announced from the holidays. So, do we know, is there a winner?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember who or anything anybody was.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'll send an email to follow up on that. And then I did have a question. There was talk about a finance committee, but that was tabled at the April 16th meeting. So how was a finance committee formed? I think we were looking into whether that could be a mayor ad hoc committee or if that was actually a council committee. So we had requested to table it at that meeting. So why is there a finance committee meeting?
Because we determined that the mayor could make a finance committee. Help me out, Shelby. I don't remember the rest of where the determination came in from. So
I don't remember even the timeline. I thought the finance committee was Anthony and Joe.
It was put up and tabled.
Yes, April 16th.
Why did we table it? Do you remember?
We tabled it because we wanted to figure out if it was a mayor committee or a council committee.
Got
I was making a mayor's ad hoc committee, and it was acceptable to make the mayor's ad hoc committee for the finance committee because it was myself, Joe, and
Right,
Anthony.
And the reason we tabled it was because we were checking with the attorney on whether or not it could be a mayoral ad hoc committee.
Is there any issue with having that committee?
Because the finance committee is typically a council committee in a borough form of government.
Well, a mayor can make any committee and appoint members by their virtue of being the head of the government,
Got
right?
it.
That we understand.
Mhm.
Equally, the council can also vote to create council committees and populate them with memberships. The hope is that there's not duplicative efforts and that there's some synergy to focus whatever the purpose of that committee is, right? Both would be advisory ad hoc committees that come to the board or this governing body to make recommendations. So they don't have absolute authority, but they serve as liaisons or intermediaries with certain charge. We talked at the last meeting like a police committee. That too, should that be a council committee, it would interface with the police department on certain items and come back to this governing body to vote on certain issues, no different than a finance committee. So again, these are policy considerations. The mayor in her own right is certainly authorized to literally create a subcommittee, ad hoc committee, finance committee, and populate as she so chooses. The council equally can do, they can create and populate a council committee like you do at reorg every year.
Mhm.
But again, the hope is that there's some synergy and not duplications of efforts.
So if there was a request to table at a meeting, then at that point, a further conversation should have been had between, I guess, the mayor and the council at the following meeting to discuss the outcome of, you know, establishment of this committee. Would that be fair to say? Like, if we tabled the committee formation at one meeting, then should a committee be formed until the next public meeting so we can discuss the outcome? I mean,
Well, again, the mayor can just, by virtue of her authority as the head of government, can create the committee and appoint a non-majority of yourselves to do it. Whether you
Mhm.
choose to do that or not is a separate issue. That doesn't require a council vote. But again, the council too, as I discussed, has an opportunity to create a council committee, like it recognizes, I think there are 15 or 16 that you have a reorg.
right,
So again, maybe there's a further discussion as to who should be on it, if there's a consensus, maybe the disparity of whether it's a mayoral ad hoc committee or a council committee is irrelevant. So, you know, perhaps this is a good opportunity to have that discussion and to reach some sort of consensus as to what form the governing body prefers. That's my comment.
Is your issue with who's on the committee or how it was formed? Why we tabled it, because I think Bob's explanation is pretty clear that.
well,
right?
I think for me, and I understand what he's saying, I think, but right now, we're in a gray area, because while we both the mayor and the council have the power to make these committees, I think Jennifer made the request April 16th to hold off on it for further discussion and research. And then it was formed anyway because the mayor has the power to do so. So I think that's the gray area, as we requested
Got
further
it.
discussion and research, and then it was done regardless of that. So I don't know.
Jen, did you do any research or?
What did I have to do
Regal.
research on? I asked the attorney.
Because
The
I
attorney was
remember,
supposed to tell us whether it was a
the same
mayoral.
conversation he just mentioned with John, that said that it was mayor's, you know, opportunity to make a committee, and then we could also develop one as well. So I don't remember it being tabled.
It was tabled.
tabled.
Well, given, I think given the situation we're in with this budget this year, right? And how I think Anthony stated before, the importance of getting ahead of 2026, does anybody have an issue with us meeting next week or the committee that the mayor formed?
I don't know.
Okay,
How about it? Do your thing.
Okay, moving on. Motion to open to the public.
No. So the council
Oh, I'm
president.
sorry, council president ordinance.
So the council president ordinance, I think it's been evidently clear, we have some process issues here, and I think it would be in our best interest as a council and to protect future councils in terms of the role of council president and how we see it, and kind of what we want the president to be involved with. For example, you know, and Jen, I'm just gonna come out and say it, but I know we had requested that Jennifer be involved in the agenda process to make sure that things that we requested were on there, you know, things weren't missing, so on and so forth. That was a process that was agreed upon in January. And then, you know, from my understanding, she's not getting the agenda until like an hour before the rest of council. So I feel like simple processes aren't being followed, and I feel like at this point, as a council, we have to protect our voice for processes going forward. So I think it's something that we should discuss and look into. I have other council president ordinances from other boroughs within Sussex County that I can email around to everybody, but I think from a process perspective, I think we have to solidify something.
yeah, could you circulate those?
Yes.
Please, thank you.
So where the agenda is concerned, this agenda was distributed to all of the council members earlier from the administrator. The very few changes that took place. This was a very chaotic week this week, as you're very all well aware. The clerk was leaving after being here for X amount of years. We have an acting deputy clerk. The administrator was not here. The people who actually make the agenda are the administrator, the mayor, and the clerk. So without having continuous communication, yes, the agenda did go out later than normal to the council president, yes.
I didn't distribute anything.
Oh, no, you didn't distribute it. I just, again, it's just the three of us actually work on the agenda together because it's the mayor's agenda.
So I'm assuming there's no, this is
There's-
probably a question for Bob, but I'm assuming there's probably no statute or like outline of the role and responsibility of a borough president
There's a
unless.
statute.
There is.
There's a statute.
And that's why I'm curious to see what the form of ordinance is that you have, because the statute certainly addresses the role of the council president. Mayor's elected by the general populace at large, council president is elected by the five of you. That statute prescribes what happens, when the council president acts in certain scenarios. And I can provide that site to you.
Please,
after the meeting.
yeah, thank you.
Is it in that book? Cause I'm gonna buy that book.
You could have mine. Just kidding.
Oh, I was like, I will take
Yeah, I was gonna say.
it.
That's my Bible.
Uh-huh, I bet.
So include me on the email, or if you circulate it through Shelby, I'd be curious just to see, because
Mhm.
again, as you're all very well aware, the New Jersey statutes give you the authority to act. You can't circumscribe that through your own actions. You have to comply with and cannot preempt what is statutorily permitted, whether it be by officer, by governing body, by other officials. So I'd be curious to see that, and we'll review it with the existing statute in mind.
Perfect. We're gonna become best friends.
Because
Um,
again, like the attorney is saying, the state statutes supersede any ordinances that the borough makes.
Unless our ordinance is stricter and more stringent than the statute. Is that correct?
No, without
Maybe not
getting
this,
into
yeah,
generalities.
maybe not this.
I think we start with the precise language of the statute that we can all appreciate, review. And if there are suggestions, maybe this governing body wants to think of an ordinance committee. Other towns do it. That way, we're not crafting them here, spending valuable time, but, things could be presented or vetted, and shared and discussed, in an efficient manner, but I think we start with sharing that information and sharing the statutory language so we could all appreciate how to be on the same page.
Perfect. Can I look into making an ordinance committee? Is that okay with you guys? For next
Well,
meeting? Yes.
again, we're at this, is this gonna be a mayoral committee or is it gonna be a council committee? Again, I think we have to have that discussion, so there, again, isn't a duplication of efforts, that there's a consensus on who the membership would be, and the like.
Okay. Moving along to public comment. Motion to open to the public.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is open to public for anything and everything that is on the agenda and off the agenda.
Or who's ever up and awake?
They look awake. Not hearing anything, motion to bring it back.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
As for our mayor's comments, our next meeting that we have is actually next Wednesday for those of you. We moved this past Wednesday's meeting to this Wednesday so that we can get our budget adopted. Thank you for the budget adoption. And our next meeting is next Wednesday, the 4th at 7:30 PM. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.